Hey there YouTube, welcome to Big Mike Beard Wisdom. So today we're talking a little bit about selling stuff on Facebook Marketplace. And what we're selling today is this popcorn maker. The big thing is that you want to make sure that you're representing what the item is as best as you can. You're being honest about it. So like this has a few little scratches on top. And you're being as descriptive as possible while taking the best pictures you can. And that gets you up to posting it on Facebook.
Alright, so to make this go a little bit quicker, I took a few screenshots of how to do this. And basically, here we are on Facebook Marketplace. And what you're looking to do is to click on this right here, create new listing. Then, that takes you to this screen right here. This screen lets you choose your listing type, and there's item for sale, vehicle for sale, home for sale or rent, or job opportunity. In this instance, we're just going with the item for sale. Then this is the next screen, and basically you're able to drop in 10 photos right where I have the mouse sitting, and you can either just drag and drop them over, or you can click in there and it'll allow you to search through your files. The first item that I ever sold on Facebook Marketplace was this remote AC window unit. And basically, it's just a remote unit here. It has a hose that plugs into the back. This section here goes into your window. So instead of it sitting inside the window frame, you're able to position it in different spots around the room to best like blow on you or cool you or cycle air through the room. And they're pretty cool, but we don't need it anymore because we put it in some mini splits. So selling this was kind of cool because essentially it still worked perfectly. There wasn't anything wrong with it, and it was a really hot week, so it was really good timing. But I took a few pictures of it, not too many. The big thing was to try and get flattering looking pictures. So it's very white, so I wanted to have it in a clean looking area. So not in a dark and shaded area, somewhere where it's got good backlighting to it. So you can see this is well lit. You can see here, this picture, there's a whole lot of the shadow, which I don't think that really matters a whole lot, but in my opinion, that previous picture looks a lot better. And it's one of those things where, depending on your pictures, that can really deem whether or not somebody's going to want it. So the better you take your pictures, the better off it'll be. I also included this because it kind of gave the model number and some basic information on it and proved that it was what I claimed it to be. And then this was a screenshot that I took where basically I did some research into it. I found the exact same model and it was on sale at a local store, which was the same store I bought it from. But basically, this sold normally for $369.99. It was on sale for $299.99, and I think we sold it for $220. Mostly because it was used, but still in excellent condition. The only thing that was missing was the original box it came in. I definitely recommend doing some research because you can either price your item to sell. That way people are like, oh, that's a great deal, I'm going to buy that. Or you can price it to try and get a little bit more money. In which case, instead of being something that sells right away, it may take a little bit longer as, the other competitors get checked out. Maybe the other competitors get bought that are cheaper than you. And then eventually you'll be hopefully in a good position that someone will purchase from you and that you didn't price yourself out of the market. But one thing's for sure, everybody's looking for a good deal. So with the popcorn popper, I took 17 pictures. And then of the 17, I went through each one and tried to figure out which ones were the best of the pictures. So some of these came out pretty decent, some of these not so much. So like this one, you can see it looks kind of cool. I was trying to get the ambience light. This one here is the one that I used on the pictures for the ad because I think this one looked a little bit better, kind of highlighted that red knob a little bit more and gave you a good view of the inside a little bit too. And then just like the air conditioning, I did some research on this just to make sure that I knew where it was at price-wise. So you could buy this on Amazon for $249.99, and I really probably should have cross-compared it to see how much shipping was. The nice thing though was that there wasn't any in my immediate area, and everything that was advertised on Facebook Marketplace said that they would ship to you. As you can see, I did as many photos as possible. I did the full 10 out of 10. And I tried to take as many of the pictures and include anything that was a little bit weird. So like that top having a little bit of scratches, there was a picture in here that had a good picture of the scratches. Otherwise, some little accent marks. So stuff with like the different angles of the cart, so you can kind of see different areas. The door that opened up on it, the kind of weird annotation on the wheel. And then also that price comparison off of Amazon. So once you get your pictures in, go ahead and scroll down a little bit. You can see title right here. Then on the next screenshot that I have, you can see title. I filled it in. So basically I put in Nostalgia Popcorn Machine with Cart. The maker of this was Nostalgia. And then basically just the short description. Price-wise, I put mine at about $150. Some of the other ones were on there as $150 as well. But those, they ship to you. And this was obviously immediately available. There were some more that people were asking full retail price on that you could definitely see were used. So it's one of those things where it depends on where you want to price yourself. And for me, I wanted this to sell and sell quickly. That way I did it all in one day as opposed to maybe sitting there a week trying to get, 30 or 40 bucks extra. Next up is category. So right here, you've got a category that you're trying to pick. And you can see here, there's a pretty good drop down they give you. I wound up going with a home and kitchen because it was kind of tough to figure out how to describe that one. And then they want you to put in more categories. So once you select home and kitchen, it's like, okay, now what part of home and kitchen are you talking about? Then just below that is condition. And on condition, they've got new, I think used dash like new, used dash good, and I think maybe another used one. But for me, because of the little bit of scratches on the top, I was going to put this on as just used good. So that way, if someone's coming in, they're like, okay, it's only in good condition. This was in great condition, really. At least they would be surprised and go, oh, wow, it's in really good shape. And then for description, basically I just broke down what it was. So this is a Nostalgia Vintage Professional Popcorn Cart model. And then I listed the model number, that it was only used for a short time, and then I'm looking to make some space is why I'm selling it. Because inevitably, especially for me, whenever I think about cars and buying and selling cars, there's a reason why someone's getting rid of something. And if you can figure out what the reason is, you can figure out whether or not it's going to be a good purchase or not. So if someone's selling a car, and they're selling it because there's a whole bunch of problems with it, and they can't afford to fix it, and they just need to get away from it. As you start to look at the car, and you start noticing this is bad, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad, that's probably the situation you're heading into, and it might not be a good buy. And for this, really that was all we were looking for, is just to make some space. And then I mentioned in here, it's in very good shape, with some scratches on the top, as seen in the pictures. And that everything works and can be plugged in as soon as you arrive to test it. And the really cool thing about the site on Amazon that had it was there was an awesome video on how it works. Then I mentioned that the price is firm as $150, so I didn't want to haggle. I didn't have that on the ad that I had for the AC. And because I didn't have that, a whole bunch of the messages I got were things like, hey, are you willing to take $100? And then I also mentioned that the machine lifts off the cart, so transporting can be easily done in a car. That way, people, if they looked at it and really wanted it, but all they had was a car, they didn't have a truck to transport it in, at least now they go, okay, cool, this is an option. The whole time it gives you this preview in the center, so you can kind of see that I've got all the pictures here. It has the condition, the brand, all the information I put in here, the title that I put in. So all that stuff's over here. And you can do stuff like you put in a SKU if you want. And also you can hide it from your friends. So I suppose if you're regifting something, you can keep them from seeing that. They're like, oh, they're selling my teapot. But when you're ready to continue, go ahead and click next. Then you can see here, it offers a delivery method. And I'm assuming that different places allow you to do delivery. In my area, I don't think they have the delivery. So basically, I just click next down here. And then this allows you to list it in more places. So a lot of areas have small buy and sell groups. So there's always a chance that you can throw it in the buy and sell group. And besides the people just looking in Marketplace in general, it'll also land on that site. And then those guys will be like, oh, yeah, hey, something that they're interested in. So it helps you market to people that are directly looking for where you want it to go. And basically what you will wind up doing is just selecting the one you want to do or try and join a group. It'll change to a check mark. And then go ahead and hit publish. Once you hit publish, it takes you to this screen. So this is like basically your account on the marketplace. Here you can see the air conditioner that I sold. And I must have put the price at $200. So I think I said 220 earlier. I must have been just 220 or ooh, must have just been 200. So this got a lot of views really quick. Way more than this. And I probably had about 40 conversations about it. Mostly with people just looking at it and asking, is it available, with the default message. And basically here's the new one. And the big thing is that as soon as you get this sold, I'd recommend hitting this market sold button. That way it gets it off the market and you'll get no more questions about it or no more responses, hopefully. And when you hit market sold, it'll ask if you sold the item, and it gives you a couple options. So yes, sold on Facebook, yes, sold elsewhere, no, haven't sold, or I'd rather not answer. Once you get here, now you just sit and play the waiting game.
Once you get it posted on Facebook, now you've got to actually show it to somebody. So the biggest thing is that as long as you were honest with everything, it should go pretty smoothly. Because then you can say, well, I had this in the picture, I had that in the picture, or I noted this. So these little scratches and stuff, hopefully that doesn't wind up being a big deal. Otherwise, this is in pretty decent shape. And real quick, I was just wiping it down to, kill any germs and somewhat sanitize it. So whenever you're wiping stuff down, you want to be sure that you're doing it safely. And in that, this is just a Lysol wipe. And you almost want to test it in an inconspicuous area. So to make sure that the paint stays and stuff, on this one, I'd almost do it either on the bottom part of the legs or in an unseen area. That way you're not wiping off the black, just in case somehow the Lysol wipe reactivates the paint. But the cleaner it looks, probably the better it'll do. And simple things like the top of that had a little bit of cleaning marks. So basically the little residue that you leave behind, taking a microfiber cloth and just wiping the residue off can go a long way. So right now, it looks like a mirror. And if I'm going to sell someone something, I'm going to give them the chance to test it out. So I've got this set up just in front of my garage. I've got it plugged in. And before I let somebody else test it, I'm just going to verify that everything works properly. That way there's no strange surprises that catch you off guard. And I'm also trying to address any little areas that have some sort of slight imperfection that I missed. So these wheels are kind of rubberized, but there's this white paint on it. So I'm kind of scrubbing these extra hard to see if I can't get as much of that off as possible. And then I'm getting rid of all the evidence that I did a whole bunch of cleaning. So the next big step that I'd recommend is basically getting Facebook Messenger put on your phone. And the reason why is because a lot of people wind up sending you messages, and it'll be both messages that are written by the person saying stuff like, hey, when can I check it out? When's a good time to come by and stuff? And a whole bunch of the default message, which is it still available? And when I sold the air conditioning, I didn't have time to put it on my phone. It was pretty much one of those things where I posted it, and then immediately we were getting bombarded by offers. But that was a really hot week and a really good time to post it. With the popcorn popper, I didn't know how busy it was going to wind up being. And for the first maybe about an hour, I didn't get anything. But then everything started to really light off. So by having your phone, you can be out here doing whatever you have to do to this, or presenting it to somebody, and ready to go and ready to respond in case that person doesn't want to buy it, or if they want to try and haggle it down too far and it doesn't make sense to sell it. Having Messenger on your phone is way easier than dashing in and out of the house waiting to see if the person's here yet while checking your computer for new messages and responding to people. The next big thing is actually giving people like your address or where you're going to meet up at. So like for vehicles, I like meeting up somewhere else. So I like a Walmart, post office, police headquarters, because that's a lot of money. Whereas something like this, or like the air conditioning unit that we had, it's not a whole lot of money. And I think the biggest mistake that some people make when they're trying to sell stuff is that they're afraid to give you an address, or they're afraid to tell you where they want to meet up at until like the last possible moment. So if anything feels super sketchy, it's something like that. Also, you may not want to get it ready too early, because my luck, a bird's going to want to poop it on it while it's out of here. So selling stuff is fairly simple on Facebook Marketplace, and it just comes down to doing a little bit of research, taking some good photos, being honest about the description, prepping everything, that way you're ready to present it to the customer, and then seeing what they say. So hopefully everything ends well for it, and we get this sold. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Feel free to like and subscribe. I'll check you next time. On, off, on, off. Oh, that would have sucked if it didn't work at the end. When I sold the selling stuff is fairly simple on Yahoo Marketplace. Wow, yep, that's a screw up.